Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ghada Bassiouny presenting the news in English. The Egyptian cabinet has issued a declaration today after its meeting this afternoon that calls for ending the current situation in Rabaa and in Nahda squares. The cabinet has seen that the latest violent actions posed by the sit-ins in Rabaa and in Nahda are no longer acceptable and pose actual threat to the state's security and stability. Based on the popular mandate for the concerned authorities to deal with violence and terrorism, the cabinet has assigned the Minister of Interior Affairs to end the sit-ins in Rabaa and in Nahda according to law and the state's constitution. Egypt's cabinet met on Wednesday to review recent developments in the country, particularly the security situation and efforts exerted to establish stability. Boosting the economy and investments were on the top of the cabinet's agenda, as well as the provision of basic goods. In its meeting, the cabinet discussed the outcome of both recent visits of the EU Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton and the African Union delegation to Cairo. The African Union delegation and Ashton have both met with the top government's representatives as well as with the post-President Mohamed Morsi. The European Union envoy for the south of the Mediterranean, Mr. Bernardo Leon, has arrived on Wednesday to Cairo, where he met with Vice President for Foreign Affairs, Dr. Mohammed El Baradei, and the visit is an attempt to find a solution for the current political crisis in Egypt and to find a way to realize the aspiration of the Egyptian people for democracy. The visit also follows the efforts of the European Union's foreign policy chief, Catherine Ashton. In the same context, the British Foreign Minister, Mr. William Hague, also phoned the interim president, Mr. Adli Mansour, on Wednesday afternoon. The African Union delegation headed by Alpha Omar Konar, the former president of Mali, paid a visit on Tuesday night to depose the President Mohamed Morsi. The details of the one-hour-long meeting were not mentioned. The delegation has also met with the interim president, Mr. Adli Mansour, to discuss the African Union's decision of suspending Egypt's membership following the ouster of Morsi. The U.S. President, Mr. Barack Obama, has asked two senior Republican senators to travel to Egypt to meet with its military leaders and the opposition. Senator John McCain and Senator Lindsey Graham both are members of the Senate Armed Services Committee and will travel to Egypt next week. Graham told reporters outside the Senate, "The President reached out to us and I said, obviously, I'd be glad to go." Graham went on saying, "We want to deliver a unified message that killing the opposition is becoming more and more like a coup, and to encourage the military to move toward holding elections." He said the specifics of the trip, including with whom he and McCain would meet, had not yet been worked out. Within her mission as the Egyptian envoy to a number of African states, the Egyptian diplomat Mona Omar has recently met with Burundi President to hand him a message from the Egyptian interim President, Mr. Adli Mansour, explaining the facts about the 30th of June revolution and the political roadmap that followed. On his part, the Burundian president commended the historical relation between Egypt and Burundi, which both lie on the Nile Basin. He said the Burundian people understands and support the Egyptian people's aspirations for democracy and stability. He asserted that the Burundi will spare no efforts in backing the Egyptian people in any regional or international arenas. And now a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Hot, humid weather is expected to prevail. Wind direction is northwest at speed ranging between 15 and 30 kilometers per hour. The sea is calm to moderate with waves height ranging between 1 and 1.5 meters, while visibility is very good, ranging between 6 and 10 kilometers per hour. As for the expected temperatures for tomorrow, Alexandria a high of 32, a low of 23, Beira 32, 24, and finally Matruh a high of 30 and a low of 24. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for following our English news bulletin. Back to my colleague Dr. Tariq Al-Hosari and Al-Iskandariya اليوم.